Hello, true believers. This is Doc Hogg, and welcome to episode 98 of Comics and Variety. If you like this channel, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new videos, and for the sake of YouTube's search algorithm, please do hit the like button. Okay, a couple of administrative details before we get to 7 days. First off, this here on the left is Sad Charles. On the right is Happy Charles. You, dear viewer, can make Sad Charles into Happy Charles. It's very easy. All you have to do is sign up for his daddy's comic book, Tilt. That's it. Just go to the Indiegogo page, put in your email, and I know you're going to do it because you want Sad Charles to become Happy Charles, don't you? So the link to the sign-up page is in the description below. Alrighty, next up, I was on the live stream of the Fandom Collective last Sunday evening at right around 7:30, talking about my comic book Tilt. After me, they also had a very interesting, very funny guest by the name of Commie Mark. At any rate, if you're interested in seeing that, I will provide a link to that as well in the description below. And while we're on the subject of live streams, later today, 7 p.m. Eastern Time to be precise, yours truly and our boy Greatlot will be hosting Indie Comic Stream number 3 here at my YouTube channel, Comics and Variety. We will be discussing Narwhal's Earthbound and Jack Iron Steel Cowboy by Cody Hernandez. So come on by to Comics and Variety this evening around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Next up are two comic books that I am backing. The first one is Cybershock 1.0 by Aaron Calamari. He let me see the script on this one, and I can tell you it's very good. Best of all, it has a very interesting twist at the end, one that you really don't see coming. In fact, you might say it is a great shock.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Now, what is that shock? What is that twist? Well, you'll have to back the comic to find out. Cybershock is currently in demand. Aaron told me that it would be in demand until the end of February, so you only have a few days left to back it, so do so soon. And finally, I'm backing Grayscale, Welcome to Glitter City by Michael Derrick. I've also seen a preview for this comic book. It's very good. And this is really a 1990s style comic book. How 1990s?
We're talking the superheroes so edgelord 90s, his superpower is karma. And we're talking this thing so bloody that, brother, when you're done reading this, you're gonna need a rag.
Yes, indeed. Now, the Indiegogo campaign for Grayscale only has about 2 days left. It's right around 70% of the way to its very reasonable goal of, fixed goal of $5,000. Folks, back this. Let's get this across the finish line. You will be very happy that you did. I will, of course, post the links to both of those comic books, Cybershock and Grayscale, to their Indiegogo campaigns in the description below. Okay, I reviewed the first issue of Gail Simone's 7 Days a couple months ago, and I was pretty positive about it. Issue 5 was released last week, and I'm happy to say that the first 5 issues are very good. It's lived up to issue 1. It's a good story, and I really like the art overall. What can I say? When Gail Simone ditches most of the SJW stuff, she writes an excellent comic book. Her Twitter handle, however, is another story.
We love these songs, 'cause they are good to us. There is no subs.
Anyway, in the comic, a being by the name of Krillin wants to wipe out the human race and has sent these things called, that the superheroes call the Obsidian Men. He sent them to do the job. Krillin gives the human race 7 days to prepare for extermination, and the Obsidian Men seem indestructible. In issue 1, they take out the most powerful superhero called Noble. A couple of things I really like about this comic. There is a scene where a man and his young daughter are out taking a walk, and what's up with the rifle slung over his shoulder? And then it turns out that he is going to shoot random people with his rifle because he thinks it is more merciful for people to not see their death coming, as opposed to knowing that it is coming on day 7 and all the fear and terror that is involved in that. But his daughter talks him out of it, and initially it seemed gratuitous, like a waste of a few pages. But then, I realized that Simone is showing you what might happen if humans were faced with imminent extinction. That is, they start to lose their grip on reality, and I actually thought it was a pretty good scene. Next, she also shows us false hope. At the end of issue 2, one of the heroes named Cosmosis figures out that the Obsidian Men do indeed have a weakness, and it is this. They are indestructible only to the enemy they are focused on. So when they were fighting, one of them was fighting Noble, he's focused on Noble, he's indestructible to anything Noble did. However, they are vulnerable to anyone they are not focused on, as happens here. Now, my initial reaction was, gee, defeating the Obsidian Men is that easy, and you are doing that in issue 2? How are you going to get all the way to issue 7? But then in issues 3 and 4, a bunch of the superheroes and supervillains team up and manage to defeat 9 of the Obsidian Men. And then Lorena Paven, who is the one trying to lead the fight against the Obsidian Men and against Krillin, realizes that it took a whole bunch of superheroes and villains to defeat only 9 Obsidian Men. And there are about 20,000 of these things on Earth. So humans are facing numbers that are overwhelming, at least in the amount of time they have left. So, it's some hope you're given, and then it's, yanked away. Good technique. So overall, I'm really enjoying 7 Days. I'd put it on your to-buy list. Is there anything that I don't like? Well, 2 things. One is the villain Krillin, specifically how they draw him. I'm sorry, but a being that is hell-bent on exterminating humans, this here, meh. Just doesn't look that scary or intimidating. I mean, is this really Krillin, the doom of the human race, or is he...
Draco, king of the dragon men, master of the heavens, from this moment on shall rule over planet Earth. Your fate is sealed.
Yeah, it needs to be drawn a lot better. The second thing is the relationship between Lorena Paven and her assistant Josita. Now, there are only 2 reasons to introduce a lesbian relationship into a comic book. The first reason is the reason you introduce any sort of love relationship into a comic, and that is to make it part of the story. It creates some conflict, or maybe one of the characters in the relationship helps the other character in some way. The point being that it moves the story along. But this relationship doesn't do that, and it is easy to tell why. I mean, just ask, if we remove this relationship from the story, does it hurt the story? And the answer here is no. You take it out, and it doesn't change anything. Now, it is fine to introduce a relationship in this way if it means that it will add to the story later on. Think the first Spider-Man and introducing Peter Parker's girlfriend Mary Jane. It didn't add much right away, but down the road that relationship was often an integral part of the Spider-Man stories. The problem here with 7 Days is this comic book is only 7 issues, so there really isn't much down the road for this relationship, okay? So the lesbian relationship isn't introduced for the first reason. So what is the second reason? Well, this.
Lesbians equal ratings.
And almost certainly that Gail Simone didn't do it for that reason. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is just social justice warrior virtue signaling. Thankfully, it is just a tiny part of the comic. It doesn't really detract from it much at all. It's just, kind of annoying. But again, overall, 7 Days is really enjoyable, and if you haven't picked it up, I'd recommend it. Okay, that's all for now. Until next time, have a very nice day.
They are tasty, they are crunchy, they are